percent increase, decrease. It's important that you guys understand how to find the percent increase or decrease of a number because it helps you determine what a sales price might be or what tax is going to be on something. The selling price, how much something's going to actually cost when you go to purchase it. Or, other examples, changes in population. Now, unless you go into some type of profession that you deal with the population, you're probably not going to need this one as much, but this is going to be everyday life. Anytime that you guys want to buy the newest shoes, and you go to, I don't know, where you guys buy shoes? Foot Locker, and you have a pair of Nikes that are $130, and you only have $135 in your pocket, you have to know that it's going to cost more than $130. So by finding the percent increase, decrease, it'll help you determine what the tax of those shoes will be too, to determine if you have enough money. Or let's say that you have these pair of shoes that are on sale for 30% off, and they're $140, but you only have $130. Well, knowing that they're 40% off, you'll be able to calculate the price to see if you actually have enough cash in your pocket to buy it. So percent increase and decrease is going to be something helpful for you guys in everyday life. So, in order to find the percent and increase, in order to find percent increase or decrease, the first step that you're going to do every single time is you start at 100%. So start at 100%. Now, if we're talking about increase and decrease, we're talking about two operations. What does increase mean to do? Which operation are we doing if we're going to increase? Add. So the second step is we're going to add or subtract the percent change. So we'll start at 100%. With that 100%, we'll either add or subtract the percent change, depending if they're adding an increase to the price or they're decreasing the price. Then we're going to change the percent to a decimal. So change the percent to a decimal. And if you remember, we do that by dividing by 100. Or you can move the decimal point. The main thing, divide by 100. Once you change that percent to a decimal, when you're talking about percent increase and decrease, this number is going to be called the multiplier. Circle that. You're going to have to use the multiplier in order to find out what the new price of the item is going to be. So the last step, so 4 steps that we're going to do in all. So the last step is we're going to multiply the original amount, the original price of the item, by the multiplier. So you know how to do all of these steps. Now it's just putting them all together and working through it. So every single time you start at 100%. Then you add or subtract the percent change. You change the percent to the decimal. You get the multiplier. Then you go back to the original amount of the item and multiply it by your multiplier. That will get you the new cost of the item that you're trying to purchase. Now, when you're dealing with money, think about it. When you're dealing with money, you're going to have some change. So we might have to round. When you're dealing with change, how many places past the decimal do you go? I heard it. So 2. So if you get something that goes 0.257, that's 3 places past the decimal, right? You're going to have to round. So with this, you're going to have to round to the nearest hundredth, or it's called the nearest cent. All right, let's get into this here. So, the first one here. I go to Foot Locker and I find a pair of $80 basketball shoes for Braden. Good news is they're 30% off, which I like because I hate buying my 9-year-old expensive shoes. So, I need to find out how much these $80 shoes are going to be when they're discounted 30%. So, the first thing I want you guys to identify, if they're discounted 30%, is that going to be an increase or a decrease? A decrease, yeah. So, according to my steps, I start at 100%. So I write that 100% down. Put the percent sign with it. My step 2 says add or subtract the percent change. Well, you guys already told me it's a decrease and subtract. What's that percent change going to be? 30%. So I'm going to subtract 30% because it's a decrease. It's a discount. So there's step 2. So what's 100% minus 30%? 70%. Okay. Now, step 3 says I need to change this percent to a decimal. How do I change this percent to a decimal? Yeah, I'm just going to divide it by 100. And I get So I get 0.7. So this 0.7 is called my multiplier. I'm going to circle that because you can have more than one multiplier. This particular problem, we only have one discounter, one increase or one decrease, so I'm only going to have one multiplier. But I'm still going to circle it because that's going to be my visual, that's going to be the number that I'm going to multiply my original amount by. So we've now completed steps 1 through 3. The last step says multiply the original amount by the multiplier. So what was my original amount?
$80.
So I'm going to take $80. If you notice, I put in my dollar sign times my what? My multiplier. What's my multiplier? 0.7. So what's $80 times 0.7? 56 what? Dollars. Good. So by the time they apply that 30% discount to those $80 shoes, I can get them for $56. All right, let's take a look at example number 2. Example number 2. So now, he thinks he needs a new basketball shirt. He wants to look like the cool kids. So, we continue shopping. He finds a shirt for $18, but Foot Locker's trying to make some extra money off us, so they mark it up 40%. So if you're getting a markup, is that going to be an increase in the price or a decrease in the price? An increase. Okay, so step 1, what do I write down first? 100%. So I start at 100%. Step 2. Say it again? Yeah, I'm going to add or subtract my percent or increase or decrease. Well, we already determined this was an increase, so plus 40%. So 100% plus 40% is 140%. So there's step 2. And I'm just going right down my list. So then I move to step 3, which says to do what, Joey? What's step 3 say to do? Yeah, change that percent to a decimal. And how do I do that, you guys? So I'm going to divide it by 100. What's that get me? 1.4. I'm going to circle this. This number that I just circled is called my multiplier. I need this number. So step 1 through 3 are completed. So step 4 tells me to do what, Brendan? Okay, what's the original amount? 18 what? So I have $18 times my multiplier, which is, what's my multiplier?
1.4.
So $18 times 1.4 is what, Isaiah?
$25.02.
And how many?
2 cents.
It was like this in your calculator?
No.
0.2. So if it's 0.2, yes, I have to have the 100 spot, so I'll put that 0 in. So a shirt that originally is $18 that they're going to mark up 40% is going to end up costing me $25.20. Oh, I promise you I'm going to make it harder. But I know I do. But you guys always say it's so easy, so I have to give you a challenge, right? All right, let's do practice number 3. The only thing that's going to make it harder is I'm going to give you more than one multiplier. All right. There's a $50 stereo at Best Buy that I want to purchase for Avery because she's getting into dance. And I want to be able to purchase a stereo and put it in the basement. And I don't want to buy something expensive because she's only 7. So the stereo is $50. However, the sales tax, because everything that you go to buy at a store has a sales tax, is 7.25%. So if something's being taxed, is that an increase or a decrease? Increase, yeah. It means you're going to pay more. So if they say that Nestle Brisk, that tea thing, is $1, when you go to pay for it at the gas station, is it really just going to be one flat dollar? No, it's going to be more because they put a tax on it. So just like this, when I buy this stereo, it's $50. They're not going to just say, give me a $50 bill. It's going to get taxed at 7.25%. So according to my notes, I start at what? 100%. Always start at 100%. Step 2, I add or subtract my percent increase or decrease. Well, if it's taxed at, is that going to be added on to the amount I owe or taken off the amount I owe? If it's taxed, it's going to be added on. So I'm going to add 7.25%. So what's 100 plus 7.25%? Percent, right? Okay, there's step 2. Step 3, change this percent to a by. Okay, and what do you get? Wait. Take 107.25 divided by 100. What do you get?
1.0.
Thank you.
1.0725.
1.0725. Good. Now, no. You do not round your multiplier. Okay? So don't round your multiplier. You're going to keep this big old long number. You're going to keep that multiplier. The only thing that you're going to round is our cost of the item to the nearest hundredth, not your multiplier. That's a common mistake students try to make. Okay, so there's steps 1 through 3. Step 4, take the original amount of the item, which is so $50, and I multiply it by what? And what's that number called? Good. Do that in your calculator. Okay. When you get that in your calculator, you're going to come up with this. $53, then 0.625. Now, we're going to have to round. Which number is in my hundredths place value? The 2. So I'm not going to need this number behind it. The only thing I need that number behind it for is to determine if I have to round that 2 up or leave it alone. So is the number behind the 2 5 or greater? Yes. If your answer is yes, that 2 goes to a 3. So then my total answer is going to be $53.63. I want to see that middle step. That way when you go to do your worksheet, some people round things in crazy ways I've never imagined. So if you write this step and then you get your answer wrong, I can give you some extra points. because I can see that you have the right answer, you just rounded wrong. But if you don't write this little step in the middle here, and you just write your final answer and you rounded it completely wrong, then I can't give you any points. Okay, last example for today. Okay. All right, so practice number 4. Oh, it's up here on the cart. So what that note thing said, and what I told you guys at the beginning of the lesson, so that big paragraph that I passed right on by, basically says that it's okay to have more than 1% increase or percent decrease. How many of you guys have been shopping and, like right now, if you go to Target and you go buy a shirt that is like a sweater, like a winter shirt, you might see that it was first marked off 20%. Then it didn't sell, and now it's getting closer to spring, so they may take an additional percent off. And then they're going to tax it. So you may have more than just 1% increase or decrease. You can't add those all at the same time. You have to do each percent increase or decrease separate, which means you have to have a multiplier for each of those numbers. So looking at practice number 4, I'm going to go to Target. There's a $15 shirt that I saw on sale for Xander that I wanted to get him, but it's discounted 40%. So there's my first percent change, right? It's discounted 40%. But when I go to the register, I'm going to get taxed at 8.1%. So there's my second percent change. So I have 2% changes here. Because I have 2% changes, how many multipliers am I going to end up with? 2. Yeah. So how many times am I going to have to repeat steps 1 through 3? 2 times. Okay? So here we go. So step 1, start at 100%. What's my first percent change? What's my first percent change? What's my first percent change? 40%. It's being discounted 40%. I asked you to say it again, you wouldn't. So what is it when it's discounted 40%? What's that mean if it's discounted? Subtract. Okay, so I'm going to worry about this percent change first. So 100% minus 40% is? 60%. Okay. So that's step 1, step 2. Step 3, change the percent to a decimal. I do that by? Divide it by 100, which equals? 0.6. This number is called my multiplier. It's my first multiplier, so I'm going to subtract it, or excuse me, circle it. I'm going to circle it. I need to keep track of where that multiplier is. Okay. Now, what's my next percent change? 8.1%. And it's being taxed at 8.1%. If it's being taxed at 8.1%, am I going to add it or subtract it? So again, I start at 100%. So I'm repeating steps 1 through 3 to get my second multiplier. I'm adding 8.1%, which equals 108%. Okay, step 1, step 2 completed. Step 3, change that percent to by 100. So what's that going to be as a decimal? What's this number called? Circle it. Okay. I've now found a multiplier for each of my percents. So now I'm ready to move on to step 4. Step 4 again says take the original amount. So what's the original cost of the shirt? So $15. And I'm going to multiply it by my multiplier. Well, how many multipliers do I have? 2. So I'm going to multiply 15 times 0.6 times. And now if you notice, I'm using parentheses to show my multiplication. Don't use X's to show multiplication. Use your parentheses. Don't use a dot to show multiplication because that could be confused with a decimal. So I'm going to take 15 times 0.6 times 1.081. And that's going to get me what? So 9.729 is what the calculator gives me.
Darius Smith, Aonse, and Deontay.
Deontay's not here, but the others are. Okay, so Haley went ahead and rounded it for me, but what number is in my hundredth or my nearest cent place value? So what number is in my hundredth or the nearest cent place value? 2. So the number or numbers behind it I don't need. I just need it to help me round. Is that number behind it 5 or greater?
Yes.
So that 2 that's underlined goes to a 3. So my answer is going to be $9.73, which I would definitely buy.